This is the left common iliac artery, and this is the right common iliac artery. They arise from the terminal end of the abdominal aorta at the level of the lower border of the fourth lumbar vertebra. This is the inferior mesenteric artery crossing the left common iliac artery to become the superior rectal artery. This is the left common iliac vein running upwards and to the right, crossing the midline to join the right common iliac vein at the level of the fifth lumbar vertebra to form the inferior vena cava. This is the left common iliac artery, dividing into the external and internal iliac divisions. This is the left ureter, crossing the end of the left common iliac artery. In other words, it crosses the beginning of the external iliac artery. It descends downwards in front and parallel to the internal iliac artery. Notice that the internal iliac artery descends in between the ureter anteriorly and the internal iliac vein posteriorly. This is the external iliac artery. It is longer and wider than the internal iliac. It passes on the medial side of the psoas major muscle to leave the pelvis from under cover of the inguinal ligament. The external iliac vein is behind its proximal part, but medial to its distal part. Its beginning is crossed by the ureter, while its end is crossed by the vas deferens. Remember that it has only two branches, which arise just proximal to the inguinal ligament. These are the deep circumflex iliac artery, which runs laterally, and the inferior epigastric artery, which runs upwards and medially. This is the stump of the inferior epigastric artery, which is now cut and has been described with the anterior abdominal wall. Notice that the vas deferens passes just lateral to the inferior epigastric artery, and it enters the deep inguinal ring. This is the site of the deep inguinal ring. This is the internal iliac artery. At the iliac joint, opposite the lumbosacral disc. It is short and rapidly divides into branches to supply the walls of the pelvis as well as the pelvic viscera. It is set just behind and parallel to the ureter. It is related laterally to the external iliac vein and obturator nerve. The artery divides into anterior and posterior divisions. The branches of the internal iliac artery shows many variations and it is better to identify each branch from its course and destination. Let us start by the posterior division. This is the iliolumbar artery. It passes deep to the psoas major muscle to reach the iliac fossa. These are the two lateral sacral arteries. Which pass to the front of the sacrum, where each of which divides into two branches to enter the anterior foresacral foramen. This is the superior gluteal artery, which is the continuation of the posterior division. It passes between the lumbosacral trunk and first sacral nerve to enter the gluteal region through the greater sciatic foramen. To sum up, the branches of the posterior division are the iliolumbar, two lateral sacral, and the superior gluteal. Now, let us move to the opposite side of the pelvis to demonstrate the branches of the anterior division. This is the right common iliac artery. This is the right external iliac. And this is the right internal iliac. This is its posterior division, and this is its anterior division. The branches of the anterior division are the following. This is the obliterated umbilical artery. It passes forwards on the side of the pelvis as a fibrosed cord, which forms the lateral umbilical ligament. Its proximal part is still patent and gives off the superior vesical artery to the upper surface of the urinary bladder. This is the obturator artery. It passes forwards on the side of the pelvis, just below the obturator nerve, and both run together to enter the obturator canal. It gives off a pubic branch which ascends behind the superior ramus of the pubis to anastomose with the pubic branch of the inferior epigastric artery. Enlargement of this anastomosis forms the abnormal obturator artery in 30% of subjects. This is the inferior vesical artery. It runs to the lower part of the base of the bladder. It supplies the base of the bladder, seminal vesicles, prostate, and vas deferens. In the female, it is replaced by the vaginal artery. This is the middle rectal artery. It passes medially to supply the rectum. Note that the rectum also gets blood supply from the superior and inferior rectal arteries. The superior rectal is the continuation of the inferior mesenteric, and the inferior rectal is a branch of the internal pudendal. This is the inferior gluteal artery. It is one of the two terminal branches of the anterior division. It passes through the greater sciatic foramen to enter the gluteal region. This is the internal pudendal artery. It is the other terminal branch of the anterior division. It also enters the gluteal region through the greater sciatic foramen. To sum up, the branches of the anterior division in the male are obliterated umbilical artery, obturator artery, inferior vesical artery, middle rectal artery, inferior gluteal artery, and internal pudendal artery. Now let us demonstrate the median sacral artery. It arises from the back of the lower end of the abdominal aorta and descends in the midline in front of the fourth and the fifth lumbar vertebrae to the front of the sacrum to end below at the coccyx.